Heading into the Orlando bubble, the Portland Trail Blazers were on the outside looking into the playoffs, being neck and neck with teams such as the Spurs, Pelicans, Kings, and Suns, while being a couple games out from the 8th-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. Now, going into the bubble, it really seems like everybody forgot about the Blazers, as teams like the Spurs had a lot of playoff experience, teams like the Pelicans had a really flashy roster with a really efficient starting five led by Zion Williamson coming off of an injury. You had teams like the Kings, who had De'Aaron Fox, who were looking at bigger pictures, and the Suns, of course, with Devin Booker, who have also been able to put together a 5-0 run in the bubble thus far. And of course, you have the Memphis Grizzlies, led by potential Rookie of the Year candidate Ja Morant, who were looking really good all season after also getting Jonas Valanciunas. With a tough bubble schedule and a disappointing year, again, just after going to the Western Conference Finals, where they were just simply overmatched by the Golden State Warriors, but looked to repeat a really deep playoff run, the Trailblazers really needed someone to step up outside of their superstar backcourt, of course, led by Dame Time. Insert Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. was a one-and-done prospect coming out of Duke, and he played for them in the 2017-18 season. He set a Duke freshman record with most three-pointers made and highest three-point percentage as a freshman, with 97 three-pointers made and a 40% clip from the outside. Despite a really successful season at Duke, and being the son of Gary Trent, his dad, who was a former NBA player and a first-round lottery pick, Gary Trent Jr. really didn't have any hype surrounding him going into the 2018 draft. Gary Trent was ultimately selected with the 37th pick in the second round, picked by the Kings, and he was soon after shipped to the Trailblazers, who then quickly really saw that he was a raw prospect still, and they sent him down to the G League, where he'd show flashes of being a really crafty, shoot-first player who thrived off of being a high-effort and high-energy guy. In the 2019-2020 season, Gary Trent Jr. was able to make the active roster, averaging about 20 minutes per game for the team, acting as a 3-and-D player while shooting 43% from deep, one of the best percentages this year in the entire league. With the entire length of an offseason, Gary Trent Jr. absolutely grinded on his craft and his game, with the expectations for himself to explode when the NBA started up again in Orlando. The Trailblazers, again, needing that extra punch off the bench, got it with Gary Trent Jr., as he's been one of the surprise players in the bubble, averaging 20.6 points per game for the Blazers coming off the bench, while putting together key defensive efforts against teams such as the Clippers, Nuggets, and Rockets. Heading into the final stretch of bubble games, the Trailblazers are going to need everything they can get out of their breakout guard, and they're going to look to upset the number 1 seeded Lakers come playoff time. If I was LeBron James and company, I'd be very nervous about this really deep Portland bench and, of course, Damian Lillard.